what's going on? Today we're talking about the top 5 best budget laptops for graphic design. And we're gonna come at you right now, but first, it's right down there. It's right down there. All right, that's better, All right, come on in. All right, like I said, we're gonna check out the top 5 best budget laptops for graphic designers. We're gonna look at the specs and really see what makes a good graphic design computer. We don't just wanna know each individual model, we wanna know if we're gonna go search for one on our own, what it takes for a good graphic design Hey, look who it is. Anyway, I'm gonna grab a seat now. All right, so now that we're here in the office, let's break down what are the top 5 best budget computers for graphic designers. And that way, if any of the computers on this list you're not really feeling, you can go and take the specs that I've told you and apply them to computers that you are interested in. I've included links in the description below of all the computers I mentioned, as well as the different specifications and parts, so you can check those out. And those are affiliate links, and they do help out this channel. They help keep these videos coming out, and I really appreciate you using those. They give me a small commission at no cost to you. Now, the first thing I want to tell you before we dive into the top 5 best budget laptops is that these are exactly that. They are budget laptops. These are not my top recommendations for graphic design laptops. These are laptops that if you are constrained to a budget, I would recommend to you. That's not saying that these are my top recommendations, period. When running some of the graphic design programs, you may experience some slower speeds. Also, these laptops are not cheap laptops, okay? So I have a lot of people commenting on different videos saying, hey, like I'm on a really tight budget, what can I get for $400? You can get a computer that you go to college and you take notes on and you play like Angry Birds. I'm not trying to be offensive, I'm just trying to say you need a high quality machine in order to make sure you have enough power to run the applications. I'm not trying to make you spend more money, I'm trying to give you the best value so you're not frustrated with your experience. I had somebody who recently came to my video, was asking for some recommendations, and then went and bought a computer that was lower than the one that I would personally recommend, and he was dissatisfied with the result. He was dissatisfied with the product. That's why I created this budget laptop video, so that way you can get a budget computer that will at least run the programs at a good rate. Again, this won't be super fast, this won't be the absolute best, but it will handle the job. All right, no more details, let's jump into the content. First and foremost, we're gonna talk about RAM. I would never go with less than 8 gigs of RAM. The reason being is that the RAM is where all your programs are run from. So let's say you have Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign open all at the same time. That's taking from your RAM memory to run each of those programs. So having 8 gigs of RAM will make sure that you can run multiple programs at one time. Now, if you want to make your computer run faster, I would shut down multiple programs. I would try and run 1, maybe 2 programs at a time if you only have about 8 gigs of RAM on one of these budget laptops. That will help you get the maximum speed out of the machine. Now, a lot of these laptops can be upgraded to say 16 gigs of RAM and possibly even 32, and I would do that as your budget allows. That'll just give you more speed and more efficiency. And that's why I recommend buying one of these or one of the better laptops is speed and efficiency. All right, now let's talk processors. The i7 is the best on the market, but many of the budget computers come with the i5. The i5 is still a great processor, it's just not the latest and the greatest. I do have a computer in the recommended computers to come that does have the i7, and that's actually my top pick, so we'll talk about that later. What the processor does is it helps run your computer more smoothly. A lot of times the fan will kick on if your computer starts to work too hard, and that's because the processor has gotten to a point where it's running too fast, it's starting to heat up, and it needs to be cooled down. So the better the processor, the more they can run without kicking that fan on. And the faster the processor, the more efficient the computer. All right, now let's talk about hard drives. You want to make sure you have a solid state hard drive within your computer. There's 2 different ways to do this for these budget computers. Some simply come with a small solid state hard drive where both the files are saved as well as the applications and the softwares are run. Others come with both a solid state hard drive where the computer boots onto and the applications run, as well as an SATA standard moving parts hard drive where your files are stored. Both are good options, and when it comes to the budget computers, you'll see both just depending on the computer you select. Which one is better? To me, I would say the solid state hard drive alone is better because they're far more reliable. Without moving parts, you have less risk of damage, less risk of losing your files, and to me that's very important because I've never had a client get excited with me when I lost everything I've worked on for them. not a good day, especially if you're a student. If you're a student, no professor has ever given me mercy because my computer died or because my files were all erased. That is not good. That's why I rely more on solid state than I do on the standard hard drives. Lastly, the graphics processing unit. Unless you're gonna be getting into video editing, this isn't the biggest deal, especially for these budget computers because they're not exactly maxed out with the best graphics processing units. The graphics processing unit helps with video editing, it helps with rendering times and saving times and exporting times of video projects. So this isn't too much of a concern to you, but if you will be getting into video editing, I would recommend looking into my other video, like I said, the top 4 best laptops for graphic designers, and those computers are well equipped for some video editing. All right, let's jump into the main event and giving you the top 5 recommendations for budget laptops for graphic design. Number 1 is the Dell XPS 13. I have the big brother of this computer, the Dell XPS 15, and I love it. It has fantastic build quality, great performance, and it just really feels nice in your hands. It feels nice as you're typing on it. I compare it to the MacBook and the MacBook Pro. I was a Mac user for a long time before switching over to Dell products, and this was an easier transition to me because it has a very similar stance as the MacBook Pro. But my Dell XPS 15 is far better equipped than a MacBook Pro and at far less the cost, which is pretty neat. This Dell XPS 13 comes with an i5 processor, 8 gigs of RAM, 128 solid state hard drive, as well as an Intel HD graphics processing unit. Like I said, these aren't built for video editing, so that's not something you need to be too concerned about. If you are video editing, go check out the top 4 best graphic design laptops in the other video I made. All right, number 2, coming at you with the HP ZBook G4 14-inch. This computer is well equipped. I really like it because it has the i7 processor, 8 gigs of RAM, a Fire Pro graphics processing unit, plus 256 gigs of solid state hard drive, and that SATA standard hard drive of 1 terabyte. So that's one of the ones I was talking about where you have both the solid state and the standard hard drive. So that makes it really good for saving a lot of files, but like I said, it's not as reliable as the straight solid state throughout the whole computer. My top pick, number 3, is the MSI GL62M. I like this computer because it is well equipped on many levels. First of all, it has one of the largest screens. It has a 15-inch screen. It has an i7 processor, which is the highest out of all these computers. It has 8 gigs of RAM. It has a 128 gig solid state hard drive as well as a 1 terabyte SATA hard drive. And it has a GTX 1050 graphics processing unit. So this computer is almost to the level of video editing, but my one concern is that it has the 8 gigs of RAM rather than 16 to say 32. So that's where I would hold my reserves on saying I approve this one for video editing. I don't. It needs a little bit more power to be up to par. Number 4, the Dell Inspiron 15-7000. I like this computer. It's a little bit thicker, it's a little bit chunkier, but it is a well-equipped computer for the graphic design needs that you have. This one totes the highest graphics processing unit, the GTX 1060. It does have an i5 processor, 128 gig solid state hard drive, as well as the 1 terabyte SATA standard hard drive, 8 gigs of RAM, and a 15-inch screen. So again, this is one of the bigger screens, which really helps when you're doing a lot of the graphic design stuff. You're not like buried in your screen trying to see stuff. It's a nice, solid working space. And last but not least, for all you Apple lovers, I have the Apple MacBook. This computer is going to be the most expensive and, in my opinion, the least equipped. Unfortunately, the Mac products are just very expensive for the specifications that they offer, and for this reason, I always lean towards recommending the Windows-based products. They're just far better performing at a far better cost. Now, if you are absolutely a diehard Apple fan, then this would be my recommendation. But it does come with a simple M3 processor, 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gig solid-state hard drive, as well as the Intel HD graphics processing unit. So my concern is the processor just isn't as big and as powerful as I would feel comfortable recommending. But if you're a Mac user, which I was for a very long time, I understand you enjoy the operating system, you enjoy the ecosystem of Mac products, and I can't blame you. I love Mac for a long time, but I moved to Dell just for the specifications and the boost in speed that I experienced. Now, you can get a more upgraded version of the MacBook. They do have a MacBook with an i5, but I think the price of that is sitting around $1,500. Which is far more than a budget computer if you ask me. All right, well, thank you so much for tuning in today to this episode about the top 5 best budget laptops for graphic design. If you have any more questions, please comment below. I would love to answer those questions. I'd love to know what you guys are thinking and what your needs are and how I can better serve you here on the channel. Subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notifier so you don't miss out on any of the videos that I'm releasing. And mash down on that like button if this video has been a help to you. I'm Benji Kaiser of BenjiKaiser.com, helping you out with your graphic design needs, and I will see you here on the next episode.